In a shock move, opposition to the Trump administration from within the Trump administration has begun to materialize. We were in the middle of an effort by the White House to find a U.S. attorney who was willing to dismiss the federal government's charges against New York City Mayor Eric Adams. The latest target of this pressure campaign was Hagan Scotten. Acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove has been working his way down the line in an effort to find somebody who is willing to do Trump's corrupt bidding. But Scotten, for his part, used this occasion not to comply with the corrupt directive, but rather to take a very public, very defiant stand against the White House. He sent a letter to Emil Bove writing, "There is a tradition in public service of resigning in a last-ditch effort to head off a serious mistake. Some will view the mistake you are committing here in the light of their generally negative views of the new administration. I do not share those views. I can even understand how a chief executive whose background is in business and politics might see the contemplated dismissal with leverage as a good, if distasteful, deal. But any assistant U.S. attorney would know that our laws and traditions do not allow using the prosecutorial power to influence other citizens, much less elected officials, in this way. If no lawyer within earshot of the president is willing to give him that advice, then I expect you will eventually find someone who is enough of a fool or enough of a coward to file your motion. But it was never going to be me. Please consider this my resignation. It has been an honor to serve as a prosecutor in the Southern District of New York. Yours truly, Hagan Scotten." And it's that line that will come to define the opposition to this administration from within the administration. I expect you will eventually find someone who is enough of a fool or enough of a coward to file your motion, but it was never going to be me. And keep in mind, this resignation comes in the immediate aftermath of Scotten's boss, Trump-appointed acting U.S. attorney in Manhattan, also resigning over this exact same issue. She sent a scathing letter also in response to Emil Bove's corrupt directive, which includes these two devastating sentences. On February 10th, 2025, I received a memorandum from Acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove directing me to dismiss the indictment against Mayor Eric Adams without prejudice, subject to certain conditions, which would require leave of court. I do not repeat here the evidence against Adams that proves beyond a reasonable doubt that he committed federal crimes. Mr. Bove rightly never called into question that the case team conducted this investigation with integrity and that the charges against Adams are serious and supported by facts and law. Mr. Bove's memo, however, which directs me to dismiss an indictment returned by a duly constituted grand jury for reasons having nothing to do with the strength of the case, raises serious concerns that render the contemplated dismissal inconsistent with my ability and duty to prosecute federal crimes without fear or favor and to advance good faith arguments before the courts. And let's bear in mind, Danielle Sassoon isn't some crunchy liberal. She is a member of the Federalist Society, she clerked for conservative Justice Antonin Scalia, and she was handpicked by this administration to lead the most powerful U.S. Attorney's office in the country. The fact that she resigned is a testament to just how far the Overton window has shifted.
Yeah, it's a great point. I don't think anybody, given her conservative bona fides, as you just laid out, clerking for one of the most conservative Supreme Court justices in recent history, Antonin Scalia, and being a member of the Federalist Society. I want to talk about that piece again in a minute, a very conservative legal organization. Really hard to paint her as an angry Democrat, right?
Well, hard.
Trump will try.
Not to say that they won't try, exactly.
Yeah, Trump will try. But by referencing what her ideology might be, what her political leanings might be, I am not suggesting that she brings any of that with her to her work as a career federal prosecutor or as acting U.S. attorney. In fact, I admire the stand she took against Trump and the top brass at the Department of Justice. But here's the thing, Brian. The Federalist Society, yes, it is very conservative, but I wonder how they will feel about one of their own members. She's a member of the Federalist Society being retaliated against in the most corrupt and unethical way imaginable. That's what I'm talking about when I say this kind of conduct by Donald Trump and his top officials at the Department of Justice will turn individuals and organizations and public opinion against Trump and company, because this is no way to run a Department of Justice. Take politics out of the calculus entirely, conservative, liberal, independent. It doesn't matter. This is wrong. And I have a feeling the Federalist Society, I can't speak for them, will look at what was just done to one of their members and say, are you flippin' kidding me? No. This has to be addressed and rectified.
Now, in terms of why Emil Bove doesn't just do Trump's dirty work himself by dropping the charges against Eric Adams, there are two reasons. First, Bove is acting deputy attorney general. DOJ leadership, which includes the acting attorney general, doesn't customarily sign court pleadings, and perhaps they want to preserve some shred of plausible deniability that they are not doing the corrupt thing that we can all plainly see they're doing, if only because it's not their names appearing on the document. But perhaps the more insidious reason is that they're using these opportunities to root out ethical prosecutors by seeing if they'll do the Trump administration's corrupt work, if they'll pass his loyalty test, so to speak. And so whereas DOJ leadership could find a way to dismiss the charges against Eric Adams themselves, going person to person down the line gives them exactly the pretense they need to remake the Justice Department in the mold of Trump's corrupt image. And the tactics that they're using to do that are exactly as depraved as you might imagine. Bove now has the entire public integrity section in a room threatening to fire anyone unwilling to dismiss the case. And by the way, they eventually did find someone to do exactly that. According to The Guardian's Hugo Lowell, Attorney General Pam Bondi says on Fox News that the criminal case against New York Mayor Eric Adams is being dismissed today after one of the senior litigation counsel at the DOJ's public integrity section agreed to spare his colleagues and put his name on the dismissal. And I know what you're thinking. We're going to see ethical prosecutors who resign merely get replaced by corrupt ones. And so in the long run, how is this a win? And the reality is that we will lose good prosecutors. But there's something to be said for the beginning of these acts of public defiance, especially from within the administration, from among conservatives, from those who've been entrenched in Republican politics and the Federalist Society their entire careers. If we're going to see a movement against Trump and his Republican Party come to pass, these are the ingredients. These stands of defiance, the public rebukes, the pushback from within will ultimately form the basis of what takes this corrupt administration down. It has to start somewhere. This is where it starts. Here's what Glenn Kirshner had to say on that point.
They're taking a public stance. They're saying we will not do what a corrupt president or the corrupt officials he is installing at the top of the Department of Justice are telling us to do. We will not do it. We will speak out. We will speak with resignations. We will speak with our feet because we are leaving. This is the word that has to get out. It is the message. It's not the way that they leave the Department of Justice. It's the message that they are sending by standing up to, this attempt to weaponize. Yes, I'm going to go there. Weaponize the Department of Justice.
So look, it's certainly possible, if not likely, that the DOJ will get much worse before it gets any better. But remember, Trump's power is derived from the perception that he can quash all dissent. But he's not quashing all dissent. He is inciting it. And that dissent is growing and it's public. And it's coming not just from Democrats, but lifelong Republicans, including those who were handpicked by Trump himself. At the risk of sounding naive, we'll look back at what we're seeing right now as the beginning of something important in a broader effort to stop Trumpism in its tracks. Before you go, just a quick note, if you'd like to see more of my content, which is always free of advertising, sponsorships, and paywalls, please make sure to subscribe to this channel using the subscribe button right here on the screen. And if you'd like to support my work even further, you can grab a copy of my instant #1 New York Times selling book, Shameless, available for sale right now. That link is also on the screen. Thanks so much for watching.